And Blumenthal getting the start once again in goal for the Dragons. The starting goalie for the Wildcats, Will Vuitton, again. At the faceoff X, it's Dan Fisher for Villanova, facing up against Jimmy Koida, the junior from Bronx, New York, for Drexel. And we're getting set to be underway on day 2 of the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic. Koida goes a little early, a violation. And TJ Camizio, fresh off hearing his name called in the MLL draft last night, Mitch. 15th overall to the Ohio Machine. He picks up the ground ball and gets the first offensive set for the Wildcats.
Yeah, that's got to be exciting. You wonder how much chatter was in the locker room today as they know that they are now dealing with a future professional in their ranks.
A couple of guys we'll see today. Not this guy. Kurst still got another year, but he starts the scoring, and it's 1-0 Villanova.
Wow, Connor Kurst, I think he's feeling the momentum that he started building at the end of the game on Friday night. He just beat his man, ran down the alley, and absolutely stung that top corner, beat him with speed. That was right over Blumenthal's stick. I think Blumenthal maybe didn't expect him to put so much into that one. So he's even got a short stick. A long pole on. The long pole got a little bit of a lift on there. Jack Farrell getting a piece of that, but ultimately, Connor Kurst kept going, and that's one of the dangers of throwing a check as a defenseman. You know, he got a great piece of his stick and maybe slowed his feet down. Jack Farrell did a little bit, but you got to keep running because obviously Connor Kurst was able to put his body into it and then get his hands free.
Kurst, of course, you mentioned the momentum he gained as we have a flag down, and Fisher picks up the loose ball. Chance to go in transition for Ubriaco. It's deflected away. And we will get the call, and the Wildcats will go man up and get another look at this.
Yeah, that was one of those, he missed that check and unfortunately got the feet. I was actually talking to someone who had never really seen lacrosse before, and he asked what were penalties. I said tripping. He said, how do you trip someone? I said, usually you try to check their stick and you miss. So prime example of that right there.
32nd man up coming for Villanova. Nolan Fox goes to the box for Drexel. But we saw Kurst make that run for Villanova in the last 3 or 4 minutes to make that game against Penn on Friday a lot more interesting, ending up losing 13-11. The Quakers in a much more comfortable position until Villanova made that late run.
Yeah, and that we just saw Corey McManus, the exact same. He had 3 goals on Friday night, exact same way. 2 of the 3 are exact same way. Catch the ball in tight, don't bring your stick too far back, bounce it off your hip. That time he just was a little bit too far away from the cage to make that one stick.
And so Drexel a chance to run out this extra man, and they do. We're back to even strength. Wildcats 0 for 1 on the extra man so far this afternoon.
Yeah, I'm sure Drexel's eager to get the ball down to their attack. That's where their strength is. That's who scored a lot of their goals in the game on Friday night, and frankly, who's been scoring most of their goals this season. So they had some good contribution across the board from the midfield, and that's what Coach Volker said they're going to need to have success in the future. But I know their attack is definitely the engine that makes them go offensively.
Yeah, that starting attack line of Marshall King, Matthew Varian, Reed Bowering, all the top 3 scorers on this Dragons team. We have a loose ball push, and Drexel will keep possession.
Great defense there. You know, the defensive midi position, we talked about that being such an important piece of the team, or if we haven't talked about it, we need to, because that is one of the most important things. You see a lot of defensive midfielders like Zach Goodrich going number 3 overall to the Cannons. Just how valuable they are, and TJ Camizio, he was that against Penn. He was the only one who could really match up against some of their best midfielders, and right now we're seeing Villanova stepping up defensively, and that's going to be huge in this game.
And Camizio scoops up the loose ball after causing the turnover. You mentioned the MLL draft. We had 3 or 4 defensive midfielders in those top 15 picks. You include Ryan Conrad from Virginia, first rounder as well. A guy, Conrad, that can really go both ways, maybe more than anybody else in terms of being offensive minded. But a premium being put on that position in the draft last night.
Yeah, and Tyler Dunn, another midfielder that we saw, more of a two-way guy. Yeah. That is so valuable if you can do more than one thing in the MLL, because it's such a up and down game, so quick moving. So something that I know I definitely attribute my ability to have a career was the fact that I played a little bit of short stick, and so being able to do multiple things makes you valuable when there's only 19 players on a roster.
Pass in front, can't get through as Fricaro couldn't handle it.
Good job inside by the Drexel defense of checking down and covering up that dangerous area.
A little bit better weather than we had on Friday night at Villanova. We had snow flurries, temperatures in the 30s today. Expected to be closer to 50 degrees, some rain in the forecast as Colin Mailman comes out of the box, showing that elusiveness, and Mailman has tied it up.
Yeah, Drexel got in what we call a bingo situation, or what we call the bingo situation. That is where, through substitution, you have an advantage. And so great recognition by the other Drexel midfielders to move that ball forward to Colin Mailman. Mailman steps up, and second shot in a row, just absolute high heat on the run in this game. So we might see a little bit of a shootout here.
Drexel, a team that averages a bunch of goals. They put up 14 goals, 17 goals. It's been in double digits every single game so far this season. So don't be surprised if they want to get into a shootout here today. Dan Fisher, part of the two-headed monster for the Wildcats, had the clamp, but ball is pushed away from him. And the whistle, and Villanova will get possession on the scrum.
Great effort by Koita there. That's one of those calls that those frustrate you so much when it's against your team. You know, Koita made a great play, checked directly down on the stick, and based on his momentum, Dan Fisher fell forward, but despite that, I think that should not be a push call.
Gabrielson, Jimmy Gabrielson, part of the second midfield line for the Wildcats in there. Sent behind X. Pass in front, shot just high from Gabrielson.
See Keegan Khan working at X. He really tried to distribute back there against Penn, but couldn't quite find that step. He kept getting just to the edge and then not being able to turn that corner. So it'll be interesting to see if he's able to take that matchup today with a little bit more tired legs on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, here is Khan. Both these teams playing their second game in 3 days. Part of this Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic. We'll also have Penn and St. Joe's dueling here at Vidas Field later on, about 30 minutes after the conclusion of this one. Now 10 seconds on the shot clock for Gabrielson. Pass back out top. Khan beats his man, but he can't get it through. 2 seconds. That would be a shot clock violation, but Drexel gets possession.
Drexel got away with a few there. Couple inside feeds that either weren't caught or just barely got checked.
Transition, and Marshall King finishes. Drexel with its first lead of the afternoon.
Drexel defense got to be pretty thrilled with that. You know, a couple opportunities down there for Villanova. They're able to come away with the ball, do a nice job of moving up the field quickly, pushing that transition. That's the second transition goal that we've seen now. The first, that bingo situation, and now just running all the way down the field. So being able to manufacture those goals, even without clean 6-on-6 possessions, that's a way to keep yourself in a game even when you don't have the ball a lot.
Drexel, a team comfortable going in transition, and King, Varian, Bowering, all guys that can finish at that end of the field. Actually, one of the reasons Marshall King is kind of part of this attack unit, he's technically a midfielder, but in talking to Coach Brian Volker, he's like, look, when we go in transition, I need to have him on the field to be able to finish balls at that end. So they keep Marshall King on, kind of as Connor Kelly played for Maryland last year, technically a midi, but almost an attackman considering he's staying on the field for the entire game.
Yeah, and that's a technique that you'll see on both sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. Brody Merrill, another guy like that with the Cannons, I know we would keep him on the close defense just so you wouldn't have to have the chance of not being able to sub him on. So great way to maximize the time on the field with the specialization of attack and defensemen by kind of letting them run that midfield position. That's a way to keep them engaged the entire time.
This is the freshman Matt Campbell, and he goes high heat. Matt Campbell knots things up at 2 in the early going.
Nice little roll back, sets his feet. He tests the D-midi, drives down the right alley. Sees a little bit of an overcommitment here. Matt Kling's gives him a little bit too much room, so he recognizes that, rolls back, and has that time to set his feet. Kling is normally defending someone back behind an X, more of a close defender. So sometimes as a defender, you're not exactly sure your angles and where to be once you move up to that 8-10 yards winged out. So great job challenging there, and nice work on rolling back and getting his hands free.
Campbell, entering Friday night, had scored 6 goals in his last 2 games. 6 goals in the OT win over Hofstra, and then 6 more against Delaware. So 12 goals in those 2. Did not score on Friday night. So the hot streak didn't continue, but feeling it a little bit here to start the day as TJ Camizio gets another ground ball.
Yeah, I know Matt Campbell's got to be excited that he hit the cage there. I think he was having issues finding the cage and had shot so well prior to that. So it's good to see him kind of get back into that rhythm and that path.
And as a freshman, when you're feeling it like you were, it's got to be tough to hit a cold stretch. But if you're Villanova's coaching staff, it's got to feel good to have him get one here early. Absolutely,
and that comes with the confidence of sometimes not knowing any better.
Kahn rolling from X, tosses it back out top to Kirst. He's already got 1 today. Did it squeak through? It did. Kirst with his 2nd of the afternoon.
Travis, this is kind of eerily similar to Ross Blumenthal's start last night. Gave up three goals on 3 shots on Friday night as well. This one he feels like he definitely should have had. He was on it and it somehow snuck through him. That's twice now that Kirst has just overpowered Blumenthal with his shooting, and Drexel is going to need to start pushing out. That's 3 goals now that have come from outside 8 yards. So that does get into a tricky situation. Now you start pressing out, and then do you give up the middle? And if you give up the middle, then you start backing it back in. So you get into that back and forth defensive scheme. So also wouldn't be surprised if we see some zone here at some point if they keep scoring from outside.
With Villanova 5 for 5 to start the game at the faceoff X, Liam Mully coming in for Drexel to take that draw, but he went early, so 6 for 6 for Dan Fisher and the Wildcats to start the game. And Blumenthal coming up with an important save to stop the run. Matt Campbell trying to go high once again.
Drexel definitely wants to slow it down here. They've played a lot of defense with all these face-off wins for Villanova, so gonna want to settle it down. And again, get your attack involved. So Marshall King scored that scored the second goal. Make sure they're getting touches so they feel good, start feeling comfortable in their roles.
And the face-off spot will be something to watch because Drexel, the strength of this team is the offense, and the defense has been one of the big question marks throughout the early part of this season. And if you can't win face-offs, you got to find ways to get stops, and that's something the Dragons have struggled with this year.
Absolutely, and that's what we talked about, kind of manufacturing those possessions with transition. But again, you got to get stops to get transition. So they're going to have to buckle down here, and hopefully, similar to Friday night, Ross Blumenthal can calm down, get the defense organized, and start getting out in those shooters' hands before they get their hands free and shoot as hard as they can.
Mulcahy working from X, gets it back out top to the midi mailman. And now King, 5 seconds to work, gotta hurry. Across the Varian, shot did not get a piece of the cage, and that's a shot clock violation on Drexel.
Nice look there on the backside, throwing that all the way through the defense and finding him back there. Couldn't hit the cage. I thought maybe that got a piece of Vuitton's helmet, but I think it hooked in his stick and pulled it wide.
Well, and that's one shot now. If you're a goalie, you got to know where you are because you don't want to let it go in, but if it's not going to hit the cage, you don't want to touch it if you can't grab it.
Absolutely. It's almost like tennis. Is it going out? You kind of just let it go. Don't go for the swing.
Just make sure you don't miss.
Yeah, nothing would look worse than just not going for a ball that goes in the top corner.
Keegan Kahn gets it back out top, and now we see Joey Fricaro. Younger brother of Jake Fricaro, who was a standout at Villanova a couple of years ago.
See,
battle.
See Kling is out top, working on him again. So I thought maybe that's a strategic. They saw that Kling has had a tough time covering up top. Maybe they're going to try to bring him up there a little bit again, but ultimately want to resettle and get back into a set that they feel good about.
Yeah, Coach Corrado takes a timeout. Here's the 11th ranked Wildcats have an early 3-2 lead in the first quarter. Why don't we take a look back at what we saw on Friday night for the Dragons. It was a slow start for Drexel. St. Joe's was able to get out to an early lead against the Dragons, had a 1-goal lead at the half, but that second half for Drexel was dominant at both ends of the field, allowing just 1 goal of the Hawks in the second half.
Yeah, the defense really came together, and that started in the back with Ross Blumenthal making a couple key saves and then communicating with his defense. You saw the timing of the slides, doing a much better job, and they really weren't able to, St. Joe's was not able to get to the dangerous parts of the field.
And so Drexel walking away with a much-needed win, 10-7, to bounce back after they had lost a couple in a row, losing to UAlbany at home and then losing on the road at Jacksonville 19-12 last weekend. But getting the win and now an opportunity to go 2-0 on the weekend. For Villanova, this is important because you entered the game, or entered this weekend, 11th ranked team in the country, feeling really good off the big win over Delaware, had won 3 in a row. But you lose to a good Penn team that was a little desperate on Friday night, and now if you lose to Drexel, you're sitting at 0-2 on the weekend.
Yeah, I think the Penn loss is tough because they knew how good Penn was, and I'm sure they knew we're not playing a slouch team here. The only reason they're unranked is because they've lost to 2 top 5 teams.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit of a strange situation. But like you said, then they get themselves into a place where this is almost a must-win for them, or else things start coming off the rails. So. Good opportunity here. You know, they were able to win at home at their place. Now Drexel is trying to do the same. So looking forward to a great matchup already.
So 30 seconds coming out of the timeout left on the shot clock for the Wildcats as they spread things out for Eric Overbay. This is for Caro. Now back to Kirst. This is where he likes to operate. He picks up the short stick. Under 10. Kirst from downtown. He's got the early hat trick.
You saw 2 Drexel Dragons slide to him as soon as he got a step on that, and that's what they're going to need to do. He was about 18 yards out. That's a 2-point goal in the MLL right there, but you got to count on your goalie to make those saves. That's tough because now you start sending 2 sliders, and there's really nothing you can do if he's able to score those. So you got to rely on I thought defensively played it pretty well. You got to get the slide to get in his hands and make that shot contested.
So Connor Kirst coming off a 4-goal performance on Friday nights in the loss. He now has 3 goals, and he's got 10 points on the weekend. Now up to 11 goals on the season. Jimmy Coita back in at the face-off X for Drexel, who is still 0 at the spot. A big ground ball for the Dragons. And Marshall King comes back all the way to midfield to get it to Reed Bowering. A big face-off win, the first of the afternoon for the Dragons.
Yeah, they really needed that one. And great job by the wing play, and that's something that all these coaches talk about. It's not just the 2 guys at the X. We talk so much about them because that's who starts the play, but it's really about the face-off wing play and making sure that you're getting the ball into a contested 50-50 and then picking it up and moving it to your offense.
Jack Mulcahy looking to make a run down the alley. He has the short stick on him.
Haven't seen any extended possessions for Drexel here, so be interesting to see what they take.
Varian with the jump shot. There's the mom goal. We had a bunch of those late on Friday night.
Yeah, and I just talked about, if you're Drexel, you want a little bit of a better look out of that possession. That's a one-on-one, not a lot of movement from you're not forcing the defense to move a lot. You want to get the ball spinning a little bit, make them work harder so it's not just one man versus one man and hoping for the best there.
Wildcats up by a pair early and a chance to add to it. Kirst! Streaking out of the box. Connor Kirst is feeling it. He's got 4.
We talked about that substitution advantage that Drexel scored on earlier. That was the same situation. See an offensive midfielder for Drexel chasing, and the Villanova Wildcats are able to sub, get Connor Kirst on before the defensive midfielder gets on. He has a step on him, and basically it's a foot race. Nice job there. in the corner of delaying until Connor Kirst was able to get into the most dangerous area and then feed it to him. So great work by the attack and kind of lulling them to sleep while Connor Kirst finds that seam.
And while it took a while on Friday night for Connor Kirst to really find his shot and find his openings, he is feeling it to start this game. Another face-off win for Villanova.
Joked about his momentum carrying forward. It was like all fourth quarter was him, now all first quarter is him. So he certainly put together a great half across 2 games. No one's covering Connor Kirst right now. A lot of confusion on the Drexel defense.
And he's the only guy you really have to mark if you're Drexel at the moment. You got to know where Connor Kirst is. He's got 4 of the first 5 goals for the Wildcats. Nice takeaway there by the short stick, Cam Harris.
Great poke check. Keeping your stick in front is such an important piece of playing defense. And he doesn't throw a wild check. He just kept his stick out there. And it was actually the attack when he checked himself as he switched hands in front of him.
Luke Hurley clears it himself and will get it to the offensive midfield unit. It's an early 3-goal deficit for Drexel, a team that's been comfortable coming from behind at times this year, including in that thrilling OT win against Michigan back on February 19th. But you're starting to get a feeling that this could be an important possession to kind of change this momentum before things get out of hand at the other end.
Yeah, and they haven't had many possessions, so that's the kind of the positive here is they're only down 3 despite not really having the ball very often. And so that's what it comes down to, is keeping that mentality of sticking to a game plan and chipping away. With only one goal per goal, there's no 2-point line in college. You can only score 1 every time. So you got to chip away and can't get too impatient.
A hands free there for Chris McClellan.
Didn't have much of an angle, but great job of keeping it to the outside so that rebound reset that shot clock and they get a fresh possession.
McClellan, a guy we don't see a ton of in the settled 6-on-6, a man-up player for Drexel, but Coach Volker trying to go for a couple of different options here. Varian, he snuck it through. Matthew Varian on the scoreboard, and it's back to a 2-goal game.
Nice little shake by Varian. Powers it through. Again, I think Vuitton thought he had it, and it trickled off his leg. So right there, he has a step on his defenseman, and he knows. You can see the defenseman 1/2 step behind him there, and he continues his momentum, works upfield. He probably even could have gotten more to the middle there, but great job turning, getting some power on that shot, and putting it through short side.
And right there on the off hip, that's the spot, right? If you're a shooter, you want to aim for.
Yeah, and that was that. To me, it looked like it might have even been short side off hip, but those hips be in such a good area because the goalies typically keep their feet nice and wide, and then they have their stick between their shoulders. So those hips typically come together, so they prevent that 5-hole, and that can often be open. And that's indoor and outdoor, or outdoor and indoor.
Outdoor, indoor. And we finally have a face-off win for the Dragons. They were able to win a face-off scrum for the ball just a minute or 2 ago, but their first official face-off win according to the stats. And a chance to maybe string a couple of goals together with under 2 minutes to go in this first quarter. There's Mailman coming out of the box. Such an electric Dodger, great athlete on this Dragons midfield.
I would love to see them get the ball to him all the way at the top because he's got such a good shake with a full head of steam. He just hasn't had that opportunity to showcase it.
That pass was intended for Mailman, saved on the far sideline and kept alive by Bowery.
So here's the situation. Mailman has a man. He can get his shake in. I'd like to see him pull it out and dodge from much further out so he has that space to really get that defenseman's hips moving and make it much more difficult for him.
Instead, it's Varian working for Max. Draws the quick double. It's stripped away.
Great double team there by Camizio. He has impressed me so much this weekend. I've talked about it a few times, and having a short stick that can not just play great one-on-one defense, but slide well, stay on double teams, and then push in transition. That's so valuable for your team.
Yeah, we saw him against Penn's Sam Hanley, who was red hot. Villanova said, you know what, we're going to give the short stick a chance at him, and he was really one of the only guys who had some success against Hanley on Friday night.
Yeah, he did a great job, and unfortunately, you know, the next possession after we talked about that, he covered Hanley for about a minute and then had to go right over Matthias, and Matthias was able to take him and beat him. But man, he played his heart out, and today has already shown, you know, what kind of player he can be and why he was drafted so high in the MLL draft this past weekend.
Under 10 seconds left. That shot sails in front. It was off the end line. Still a second to operate, but Villanova's going to just have to heave this thing.
And Cam Harris thought there was a little less time, tried to fire that thing, and he probably had 1 or 2 more steps to get down towards the end of the field.
The junior from Bernardsville, New Jersey. As Dan Fisher wins the face-off to start the second quarter, shot sails wide.
One of the many Del Barton green wave on the Villanova Wildcats.
That whole, one of the starting midfield units they use, Colin Crowley, Matt Campbell, and Connor Kirst, all 3 Del Barton grads.
Certainly could build some momentum and some chemistry over 6, 7, or 8 years together.
Yeah. This is Eric Overbay starting today in that midfield unit from Alpharetta, Georgia.
It looks like Drexel's dropped into a zone here.
Kirst! He's got a 5 spot.
This is the difficulty with a zone, right? Is you're planning on giving up those outside shots. So if you're not saving those, then it's tough to run zone, because what can you do? Or you have to stretch your zone out and then you open up the interior. So I thought that Drexel might go into a little bit of zone here, just a little bit of a miscommunication with who was covering the crease there, and they rotated out too late. You cannot let Connor Kirst step 3, 4 steps down and get his hands free. That's going to be a goal, and he has done it 5 times.
5 of the 6 goals for Connor Kirst. Another face-off win for Dan Fisher. And we have a flag down. I believe that's the 3rd violation on Drexel. So we got a man up coming for the Wildcats as well. That was Liam Mully giving it a try at the X, and neither him nor Jimmy Coita, the starting face-off man for Drexel, has been able to figure out Dan Fisher. Villanova hasn't even had to go to Zach Ornstein, the other part of that 2-headed monster.
Yeah, and if you're Drexel, this can get very frustrating, especially for the offense, where they're not touching the ball, they're not seeing it. So this is a big possession here. If they can get a stop and start to feel a little bit better about what their defense is doing, get their offense involved, kill off this penalty.
Skip pass across, shot sails high. Still 5 seconds left on that extra man. Hardy had to go up to catch that pass, and we're back to even strength. Now look out for this guy, 34 in navy blue, Connor Kirst, with 5 goals already this afternoon.
He wants more.
And can you blame him? He's 5 for 5. This is where you can get away with a heat check. Kirst tries to split 2, and it's taken away. Much needed takeaway by the Dragons defense.
Big stop, and that's something you can build off of now. Again, as bad as Drexel probably feels like they're playing, they're only down 3, so it's not insurmountable, it's not out of hand here, but they do need to start chipping away in the offensive end and making the most of these possessions, because they're so few and far between.
For the Dragons fans, they will certainly remember Drexel down by 3 and 4 goals in the 4th quarter against Michigan back in February, able to string a run together and come back and beat the Wolverines in overtime. So once again, a team that has come from behind in pretty big margins. They're going to have to win some face-offs. That'll be the big thing. Reed Bowering gets to the middle. They needed that one. Bowering with the 3rd of the day for the Dragons.
Just a big physical one-on-one battle there. Nice job by Bowering, using his body to get underneath that defenseman using that Canadian influence, keeping that stick protected, using his back, his shoulders, little swim move, and then buries it before he gets pushed into the crease. Nice play there. Goals that we've seen from Drexel have really been mostly in transition and then one-on-one battles. Matt Varian with his dodge from X, and then those 2 transition goals. So certainly good to see that they're able to beat their one-on-one matchups. Now Villanova's going to have to respond by sending slides, and that opens things up a little bit more once you get the defense spinning.
All right, 4th of the day for Drexel as they get this back to a 2-goal game. Colin Mailman with a goal to go along with each one of those starting attackmen, and King, Varian, and Bowering each having a goal as well. The key contributors for this Drexel team all scoring so far. And a face-off win for Drexel, something we have not seen much of today.
Yeah, if they can string together some possessions here, that's going to definitely help with the psyche aspect, and then they can start getting into a flow from their attack and hopefully getting some contributions from their midfield as well.
Bowering working against Owen Probilski, 6'1" sophomore. Big bodies on this Villanova defense. You go across this starting defensive unit as Mulcahy gets into the middle, loses it. Bowering picks it up.
I can't believe there wasn't a flag on that. That was a cross-check directly to the chin. That could have been a 2-minute non-releasable right there. They're lucky that I don't think the refs were looking inside.
Mailman trying to get a juke, and he does! Draws the flag. It's an and 1 for the Mailman.
I think that might have hit a stick. That looked like it was going low, and then it popped right up. I'm gonna have to see the replay here. Great shake, showing that. Good job by Drexel, giving some space, and that may have just beat him high.
So Drexel gets the ball on the Owen Probilski unnecessary roughness. So a chance to tie it up and string a 3rd straight goal together. Back-to-back goals for the Dragons here in this 2nd quarter.
Because that hit happened after the goal went in, that's why Drexel automatically gets the ball here. It was almost like a dead ball, or it is a dead ball foul, considering the ball had crossed the plane. That was a good goal, and then he got the penalty.
Dragons entering the day super efficient on the extra man, 50%, 14 and 28.
This is the best medicine Drexel could have asked for here.
In front, oh, that was pretty from Soren. The backhand flip, and we're knotted up at 6.
You like Sky Whammy Friday night? I got a new one for you. How
What do
about
you got?
Canadian egg roll?
Oh, the Simpsons reference.
The no look, gets it, puts it low. Goalie doesn't know where it's coming out. Defense doesn't really get a chance to check down. Great skip look there by Marshall King. An excellent finish there by Matt Soren. This is what Drexel needed, right? Quick strikes, a couple opportunities that maybe, right, if you take the faceoff out of the equation, you don't have to worry about winning them. So about as good as it could have gotten for Drexel in terms of making this a great game and getting right back in it quickly.
Matt Soren, not Canadians, from Denver, Colorado, but able to execute the Canadian egg roll in front.
That'll be the Rocky Mountain egg roll for him.
But Dan Fisher back to work at the X and gets a possession for the Wildcats. Now all knotted up at 6 apiece.
Surprised Connor Kirst didn't shoot from there. Probably go in at this rate.
Connor Kirst, 5 for 5, as LSN analyst Chris Marshall would say. That's very efficient. Keegan Kahn back out to Kirst. Now to Matt Campbell. He's got the only other goal today other than Connor Kirst's 5.
Villanova's really stretching out that Drexel defense, trying to get them to open up things inside.
The inside look was there. McManus couldn't quite put it on frame. The backup one by the Dragons.
Great hustle there. That gets your teammates fired up, diving for the loose ball, getting that possession back, and you can feel the momentum starting to tilt in Drexel's favor now with these opportunities on man up, scoring 6 on 6. Things are starting to go their way. Now if Blumenthal and the defense can continue to lock things down, they'll be able to get that first lead ideally.
And there's got to be a rejuvenation for the leg zone defense. A, they got a break finally with the 3 straight offensive possessions, but B, all of a sudden your offense puts a bunch in and you're right back in this game.
You don't feel like you're against the ropes getting punched quite as much. So it gives you that mental edge as well as the physical piece to get a little bit of a rest and catch your breath.
Cam Harris, the defensive midfielder, staying on. He's got Connor Kerr stuck in the defensive end for Villanova. Harris has shown the ability to play offense, has a couple of goals for Drexel.
Yeah, and I like that matchup both ways, to be honest. Cam Harris, like you said, can play some offense, but Connor Kerr's a big physical guy. As long as he keeps his feet moving and does a nice job communicating on defense, he'll be just fine.
10 seconds left on the shot clock as Harris works from the top of the box. Harris sends it in front, a nice easy save for Vuitton.
Saw Cam Harris. That's a short stick D-midi, pulling it out, realizes there's 3 seconds, and then fires one. He hears everyone saying shoot it, fires one at the goal. He probably doesn't have a great chance, but you never know. It gets tipped, gets knocked in, someone catches it and dunks it. So not a terrible play. And again, as long as your other midfielders get back, take away that transition, that's okay.
And that was part of it. You saw guys like Marshall King going to change off as Harris sent that one toward the net, knowing, okay, let's get some midfielders back on, settle in for a defensive set. This is Andrew Gallahue. Back to Kahn. It's taken away momentarily. And here we go. George Grippo in transition. No numbers for Marshall King, so he brings it back out. The 6th turnover for the Wildcats so far this afternoon. Genord, step down. Drexel has a lead.
And these poor goalies, every shot they're seeing is coming with full heat. So defensively, these guys are going to get an earful from their teammates, from their goalies back there, just having to face step down after step down. And you can't expect them to stop those. That was a nice look, a little bit of transition there. No one slides out. Genord's able to let it fly.
I mean, he's able to wind up for 3 or 4 yards walking into that one. That is a tough task for Will Vuitton in goal.
Not the biggest guy, but if you know how to sling that rock, it doesn't matter how big you are.
So Drexel, who trailed 6-3, it seems like just a couple of minutes ago, has strung 4 straight goals together here. And they have their first lead of the game.
We've got a flag down. The referees are going to discuss. Is that the 3rd violation for Drexel?
Well, they already got a penalty for their 3rd violation. And they're going to wave off the flag. That was the last man up for the Wildcats that was killed by the Dragons. It was the 3rd face-off violation here, the first half.
This is where I'd really like to see Drexel keep their midfielders up where they are now and work the ball around and try to get some dodges from up top. And I think Villanova's done a pretty good job of that, of spreading things out. Drexel seems like they do a good job of getting in their sets and then they stay so tight. They need to bounce back out, stretch the defense, which opens up more opportunities. Although I say that and they've taken the lead with whatever they've been doing. So something's working for them.
Reed Bowering couldn't get that shot around the corner. And Colin Mailman able to track it down on the sideline for the backup. Mailman's had great success, a couple of goals so far today. The junior from York, Pennsylvania. Had a hat trick against Michigan, the first of his career earlier this season. This is Varian in a battle.
Nick Fox doesn't have much room to go. All of Drexel's players kind of packed into that one sideline. But now that left side is completely open here if Ryan Genor wants to take it.
Skips it back out top. Vuitton up to the challenge. Hasn't had a lot of real good looks to save the ball, but he was able to stop that one, his 4th of the afternoon.
He had a good beat on that. He didn't have to move from pipe to pipe. He saw it the whole way, and it stayed kind of that mid-range, high-to-high shot. That's a little bit easier to track there for Vuitton. Did a nice job of staying with it.
Coming up at the half, we'll take you back inside the LSN Broadcast Center, show you some highlights from the first half of this one. Plenty of highlights to choose from. Also check in on some of the other games going on around the country today. Of course, the Crown Lacrosse Classic getting underway. As Kirst, he finally missed one.
I think that hit the crossbar.
Barely.
Crown
barely
Lacrosse Classic. That is a tongue twister there,
It is a tongue
huh?
twister.
They weren't thinking about the broadcast team when they came up with that name.
It got me. I've been nailing it all weekend after the MLL draft and Friday's games, but it got me here on Sunday.
My Cornell Big Red need to bounce back. It would be a huge win if they could take down Towson this afternoon.
Yeah, 1 versus 2. Lost a little luster when Cornell went down against Penn State on Friday. Penn State, a team that Villanova knows a bunch about after that big 10-goal loss to open the season.
Yeah, they are scoring at an unbelievable rate in Happy Valley, Pennsylvania.
Campbell back to Kirst and taken away. A big hit, and they let it go.
I think there's going to be a flag down on
get
Kirst. He was frustrated.
After the fact, and Nolan Fox with a long pole goal in transition. The Ridley Park native gives the Dragons a 2-goal lead.
And I got to say, that should have been a call on that first hit on Colin Kirst. That was high and that was hard. I'm sorry, Connor Kirst. And then Villanova went and got a flag based on a retaliation. That's what always happens, is they don't get the first one, they get the retaliation. So I don't know if Connor Kirst popped up, but someone came to his defense and popped the defenseman there that hit him. Understandably, that should have been a call on the very first one. I think you're probably going to look at either an unsportsmanlike here or possibly locked in for a high hit, because both hits were high.
Yeah, it's against Joey Fricaro, Villanova, for a minute. You get another look at this. Kirst took a shot high from Cam Harris, and then you see there just in the corner, Joey Fricaro coming to the defense of his starting midfield.
Coach Corrado wants an explanation. He's saying, how do you not call that first one? And I think everyone agrees. Fricaro's penalty, probably a good call. He came out of nowhere and blasted someone who wasn't near the ball. But that was a frustration penalty. He was upset that the Connor Kirst had gotten taken down with really no call.
Look, these rivalries are real here in the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic. These teams play just about every year. Villanova's won 5 straight in this series against the Dragons. And when you see the momentum swings we've seen, it's easy for the frustration to build for Villanova, who had everything going just a second ago, and all of a sudden look up, and now they're down 2. And so we've got a timeout on the field. Travis Eldridge, Mitch Belisle back with you here, our CAA Game of the Week. The 3rd game of the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic, as the Classic is shifted to West Philadelphia, Vidas Field at Drexel, and the Dragons on a 5-goal run. They trailed 6-3 earlier this quarter, but Drexel has strung 5 straight goals together to take a 2-goal lead, outscoring Villanova 5-1 in this second quarter.
Yeah, and the biggest difference has been their time of possession. They just have had the ball more in this quarter. The first quarter was all Villanova. They were winning faceoffs. They were running down, getting into their set plays, and then capitalizing at the end of each of those plays. And that's a recipe for success if you can keep doing that over and over. Drexel found a couple different opportunities, whether it was face-off violations, whether it was man-up, to get their ball to their offense, and their offense has been finally figuring out ways to crack the code here.
Well, Dan Fisher with some pressure on because this is a man-down face-off. Joey Fricaro going to the box for Villanova for an illegal body check as he came to the defense of starting midfielder Connor Kirst after he took a high hit. And with the extra man, Drexel able to win it. And it starts the extra man opportunity for the Dragons. And a quick timeout for Drexel as they'll look to set up that extra man opportunity, something they've been very efficient with so far this season, entering the game at 50%. We mentioned the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic. This is day 2. We, of course, started on Friday, and they emulated this off of the Big Five in basketball in Philadelphia. And so much basketball tradition made out of the Big Five. Well, now we have the Philly 4. You bring in Drexel to include St. Joe's, Villanova, and Penn. And you take a look at the map. You got Drexel where we are here today, Penn nearby, and then as you make your way out toward the main line of Philadelphia, you hit St. Joe's there on the outskirts of the city, and then Villanova in Villanova, Pennsylvania. All these schools so close to each other, and they play each other just about every season. So the coaches got together. They actually met somewhere in the middle there in Haverford at a coffee shop over the last several years, and finally were able to figure out all their schedules to make this work. Yeah,
great opportunity for the kids and lacrosse fans of Philadelphia to see some of the top lacrosse played right there in their backyard, and getting the chance to watch some of their local hometown heroes go out and compete, and then also give back to the community with an event that really showcases what Philadelphia lacrosse is all about. Tough, gritty, up and down action. So really exciting to be part of this first year, and I can only imagine it's going to go up from here.
And you can't, you obviously have to say Philadelphia and gritty in the same sentence now after the Flyers mascot. It's taken the sports world by storm.
I'm sure he's somewhere
Gritty
in the
isn't
stands.
Out here.
I was going to say somewhere in the stands watching.
See a big orange blob show up. All the fans would go crazy.
That's how you draw a crowd.
40 seconds left of the man up for Drexel coming out of the timeout. Already have a man up goal today.
Drexel rotating into a 1-4 and then bouncing out into the standard kind of 3-3 that you see most teams operate or end up in. That gives you the most shooting opportunities.
Marshall King stopped by Vuitton.
Big save there by Vuitton, getting his body down low in front of it. Marshall King, an excellent shooter from outside. You saw him sparking their team Friday night. Great opportunity there by Vuitton to shut that down and get Villanova going back on offense.
And we're back to even strength as Connor Kirst comes back with it. Matt Campbell left alone. The freshman just missed that one. He'd probably like to have that back.
Yeah, you got to hit the cage there. Blumenthal has been untested. He's only made 2 saves. You want to put that on cage and really make him work to make a save there. Right there, he got away with one because he didn't even have to go after it.
Couldn't quite get that thing down. Fricaro, tough angle. Almost hit somebody on the sideline. Watch out.
And Villanova is going to want some other contributors here. Connor Kirst, a lot has ridden on his shoulders already today. They're going to turn to him late in the clutch, so they need some other guys to step up here in the middle of the game to chip away so he's not taking every single rep. Can only do so much over the course of the game, and he's already put such an effort in.
And you see Con, he works for Max. That's his traditional spot. Finds Kirst back up top. Gets some help.
Good job there by Drexel, sliding early to Kirst, making sure to force him down and protect that middle of the field. That was one area where I thought on Friday night he tried to do too much. He got to the middle, and Penn did a nice job of collapsing on him, and then he ran out of angle or options. Tonight he's done a nice job of really capitalizing from the outside, and now Drexel's doing a good work of funneling him into areas they feel better about.
2 seconds left on the shot clock. It's saved by Blumenthal. Avoids the shot clock violation, but the Dragons get possession anyway. So after a shaky start defensively for Drexel, they've kind of figured things out here late in the first half.
Yeah, great job of supporting each other, getting slides to those dangerous midfielders like Connor Kurse. And now we see Connor back on defense playing defense. I'm sorry, back on defense playing some against a midi.
Cam Harris, the short stick D-midi. His third goal of the season. And they had both short sticks on there for Drexel. They didn't substitute for the offensive guys, and it's one of them being able to score.
Nothing special there, just a little shake, gets it to his left hand, and lets it fly. Defensively, see number 3 there, that's Matt Campbell. He's an offensive midfielder. Would have liked to see him try to close that gap, but that comes with experience. He's a freshman and an offensive player, so that's going against him. But great job recognizing by Cam Harris, keeping him on, making that move and getting his hands free and really capitalizing at the end of that shot.
Cam Harris, the senior from New Canaan, Connecticut, had 3 goals all of last season. He's got 3 goals already this year. And Jimmy Coita wins a face-off. King couldn't put it home. Backed up there by Bowering. But Harris, a terrific athlete. And when we talked to Brian Volker earlier in the season, he said, look, he's got the green light. He's a guy we trust in transition. He's a senior. And he's also a great athlete that can create his own shot.
Yeah, when you can keep your D-middies on to play a little bit of offense, that puts so much pressure. We talked about Connor Kurse not having to do everything in the offensive end. Now you're asking him to get back and play defense as well. Same with Matt Campbell. That gets tricky as guys start to get tired, right? We saw Matt Campbell played good positional defense, but then stopped his feet and didn't get out on that shooter. Now, is that because he's a freshman, he's still learning the defensive side of the game, or is that because he was tired because he just ran an offensive possession? But great work and great recognition by Drexel and taking advantage there.
And you also keep guys like TJ Camizio off the field, who we've seen have an immediate impact already today, but it looks like he's going to draw the flag as he was playing some aggressive defense.
Yeah, that's one of those, you got to be careful. Anytime you extend your elbows.
Drexel, the refs are going to say that Drexel called a timeout before the flag came down. So that'll wipe out the flag. A nice break for the Wildcats. And Brian Volker saying, whoa, 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 I didn't call a timeout.
You know what? It looked like Camizio ran into his feet and he kind of tripped himself up there. So it wasn't so much the cross-check or the push being the issue as Camizio just ran into Nick Fox there and they tripped up each other. But lucky there, because that probably would have been a push call if it hadn't been for that timeout.
Reminder, the CAA Game of the Week continues throughout the rest of the season. Coming up, our next Game of the Week on Friday, Utah, the first-year program, coming off another win. The Utes have been on a roll here in just their first year in Division I lacrosse. They head to Fairfield to take on the Stags. That game coming your way Friday night, March 15th, and then the following weekend, a gigantic battle. Denver at Towson. We saw the Tigers. They're now #1 in the country. They've got another big test against the Big Red here on Sunday. They got to go to Duke next week before they then welcome Towson to their place. So the schedule continues to get more difficult for the Tigers, but we'll see them a couple times throughout the rest of the month.
Heavy lies the crown, right? If you're going to be the best, you got to play the best. And they certainly have a great strength of schedule coming up, which is going to be helpful. If they get through that, then there's no debating that they're #1. If they can't, then that opens things up for someone else to take that spot.
Oh, and already with a win over Loyola and a win over Hopkins, Towson is in a situation, you beat Cornell here today, even if you slip up in the CAA, which is always difficult. We see Drexel playing well today. Hofstra can give people fits. UMass has been turning the corner now. If you slip up against one of those teams, you still have to like your chances making an at-large berth in the NCAAs.
Yeah, absolutely. Those quality wins play such an important role. So getting those early is nice to kind of get those out of the way. But you also never know how things are going to shake out down the line. Maybe Hopkins doesn't end up being such a great team. Or maybe Loyola goes on a losing skid. Doubt that's going to happen, but that always is a risk when you just rely on those wins.
And you got a crease violation there on Bowering. So 21 seconds left. The Wildcats likely getting the last offensive possession of this first half. We're going to end this 6-goal run for the Dragons. Just 5 seconds. Kurst from way downtown. Blumenthal up to the challenge. And while Kurst has 5 goals in this first half, Drexel with a gigantic answer in the second 15 minutes. The Dragons outscoring Villanova 6-1 in that second quarter, and they enter the half with a 9-6 lead. The face-off X was a spot pretty much dominated wide by the Wildcats. 11 of 16 in that first half for Villanova, but Drexel wins the opening face-off of the second half, and we have a goalie change for the Wildcats. Will Vuitton is out. Nick Testa is in, the senior from Rexford, New York.
Yeah, and it looked like early that Blumenthal might have been the one that was going to take a seat, but he's settled in, and now Will Vuitton is out.
An early test for Testa, and it's cashed in by Mulcahy. Make it 7 straight for the Dragons.
Nice little give and go there. Pops it down the wing, gets it back, and then I love this shot. We'll see in the replay. He doesn't wind up. He cuts off ball. He just puts his stick out and places that ball. It wasn't a hard shot. He didn't rip it. If he had pulled it back any further, he probably would have gotten trail checked. Marshall King with a little no-look feed there. Plays it off as Mulcahy kind of sprints to beat his man, and the nice finish there. Don't have to shoot a million miles an hour if you put it right in the exact spot you want it to go.
Now 9 different goal scorers for the Dragons. Just one guy has 2 goals for Drexel so far. That would be Colin Mailman. And it looked like Coita had a beat on the face-off win. He does, and Drexel gets another offensive possession. When Villanova was on that run, they just had the ball for most of the first quarter, and since then, Drexel's found a way to even this thing out.
Yeah, Drexel doing an awesome job at the X already, and then towards the end of that second quarter. But Villanova, I'm not too worried. Villanova was in this same situation where they went on this terrible run against Penn on Friday night, and they were able to come back. And so now they just got to start putting those series together where they're making the right decision, they're getting the ball to their offense, and they're getting quality looks. They haven't had a quality look in minutes. It's been at least 5 or 10 minutes since they've gotten a good quality settled offense and got a shot on goal.
Well, they're able to take that away as Zachary Kreise gets the ground ball. And now a chance to get it to the Wildcats offense. Other than Kurst, everybody else relatively quiet. Matt Campbell, the freshman, with the only other goal for Villanova. On Friday night in the loss to Penn for the Wildcats, we saw this same struggle as you just mentioned. Keegan Kahn was trying to find answers here at the X, but it didn't have a ton of them. We'll see if he can find a way to create now. Jump shot, saved by Blumenthal. But it resets the fresh 80 here as Camizio gets the ground ball. Blumenthal, another stop.
Blumenthal, 2 saves, trips up Kahn behind to slow him down a little bit there. He's feeling good. This is what happened on Friday night for him. He started to get into that groove, that rhythm, and that sparked their offense, and Drexel was able to get the win. So certainly all momentum is favoring the Dragons right now, and Villanova needs to find a way to score a goal or at least get a couple good quality looks out of the offensive possessions.
This is Cam Harris, the short stick D-Midi, playing some offense for Drexel. Gets it to Mailman. Now Nick Fox, the midi, with a run. Shot sails wide. And this is the danger we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast for Villanova. You entered this game on this weekend on a 3-game winning streak, ranked 11th in the country. You had beaten Yale in overtime a couple of weeks ago, feeling really good. You lose to a Penn team that was maybe a little desperate for a win, entering Friday night at 0-3. Not a bad win by any stretch of the imagination, but you lose. And now you're on Sunday, you're facing an 0-2 weekend.
Yeah, that's a tough way to go down in this weekend, especially after you come into the weekend feeling so good. So I expect, though, Villanova's gonna claw back in this game. They don't have any fight. Guy like Connor Kersh, he is willing to throw that team on his back. He already has made some huge plays, but it is a little concerning. They haven't scored since the first minute of the second quarter is the last goal they scored. So it's been a long drought that their offense has been able to capitalize. You start gripping your stick a little tighter. You start taking shots that you don't feel are the best shot because you just want to score. So they need to figure out a way to settle down, crack the code, and I think Connor Kersh might be the one to do it for them.
There's offsides on Villanova triggering this man up. A good shot there on the behind the back from King, but we're back to even strength.
Killing that penalty is a good first start for Villanova here.
And here's one of the things you talked about. Mailman coming from way up top toward midfield, getting a chance to get a full head of steam.
Yeah, he really slowed down as he got in that dodge. I'd rather him go full speed, make that quick juke move. But part of that is his teammates getting nice and deep and low to give him both alleys to dodge down. I think they crowded him a little bit, so he didn't have that comfort level.
They got a moving screen on Drexel, so you kill the man up for Villanova, and now an offensive set. Let's see if they can capitalize. Haven't scored in more than 15 minutes. Actually, now nearing closer to 20 without a goal for the Wildcats.
They're going to get their offense on, make sure they get the ball around, spread the Drexel defense out.
In front, bounce shot, and it's backed up there by Kahn. Rounds the corner, but it's taken away. Sean Quinn.
Corey McManus, that same kind of off-the-hip bounce shot there. I feel like he's too far out. He scored 2 goals against Penn like that. He's too far out in this game. He needs to either get his hands back further or take that extra step.
What a juke from Mailman! Colin Mailman with a hat trick.
And there is running full speed, making your move and getting your hands free. When he explodes into that dodge, he's got such a quick first step on that crossover type split. He stuns his man, the slide comes a little late, and then that's great plays when we talked about finding the sides of the hips, that being harder for the goalies to get. That's off-stick hip. That's a great shot right there.
I tell you what, flag football or intramural football, I don't want to play against him. I mean, that juke and that dodge he has at the top of the box is almost unguardable.
Well, every kid now is going to quit sports if they find themselves on a YouTube highlight getting their ankles broken, but you know what? I think that was an example of how devastating he can be with that quick first step there. And the key is sending that slide, because it doesn't matter if your ankles get broken if your teammates are there to support you.
Now ties his season high. He also had a hat trick in the win over Michigan and Albany. A couple of hat tricks this season. Now a trio of them for Colin Mailman. Hands free for Overbay, and the Wildcats finally end the drought.
Good take by Overbay, a nice overhand shot there. I think that Blumenthal's frustrated with that one. He feels like he should have had that. I think he maybe was unsure if he wanted to go over the top or underneath. It kind of hit him in that awkward spot off of his hip. Instead of bringing his stick across the top in front of his face, he tried to get up and under with his bottom hand and his butt end. But great take there by Eric Overbay. Again, that's one where Drexel, the defense is playing good. You can't ask much for more of them. And frustration if you're defensive coordinator. You're like, man, we did the things we want to do. We need a save there.
So it ends the 8-goal Dragons run. We have a loose ball push that'll give it back to Drexel, though, on the faceoff.
Camizio not happy with that call. He's got to be careful. You can see the ref warning him. Not another word out of you. He's got to take that frustration out on the defensive end.
TJ Camizio, he was all over the place in that first quarter. Fresh off getting drafted last night by the Ohio Machine, 15th overall in the Major League Lacrosse draft. And here he draws the matchup with Nick Fox. Shot sails wide. Berrien, Bowering, and King each have a goal. That stellar trio of players on the Drexel offense. So important to how things work, but they've gotten some other guys involved like Mailman and Genord out of the midfield, and that's been key when the Dragons have been successful at times this year.
Nice job by Villanova defensively there.
But Bowering gets the loose ball, he rings the post. And that gets a fresh 80 for Colin Mailman, and the junior's gonna settle things down.
Of course, right as I say, great defense. Unlucky bounce gives it right back to Drexel. They take a hard shot that, you know, upon further review, that probably bounced right on the goal line and out.
And now Villanova forced to play another 80 seconds of defense. Give and go in front, and I don't know how King didn't put that home.
No, that's a little slip pick. He passed down, act like he's gonna go set that pick. He slips to the middle. That was a beautiful play. Classic Canadian box, little slip play there. And again, I think he wants that one back. He scores that 99 out of 100 times there.
Colin Mailman now gets the pull in Ubriaco. Fox stripped away by Camizio. The short stick causes a turnover, but Fox gets it back in all sorts of trouble.
We got a physical ground ball down there. Refs putting the flags away. A couple times I thought they were going to come out, but great job by both teams of scrapping, keeping it contained, but fighting hard for the loose ball. And now Villanova is going to want to settle it down here and get another good offensive look.
Chris Donovan able to win that ground ball battle for the Wildcats. And so after they ended the drought, the last possession, Villanova a chance to continue to cut into this Drexel lead.
Keegan Kahn's been pretty quiet from X. He's dodged a couple times. His feet slid out one of those times, but he hasn't been able to beat his man successfully yet. So look to get the ball to him and see if he can try to start creating now.
Yeah, he's drawn that matchup with Sean Quinn, the top defenseman for Drexel today, and it has not been a good one as Drexel's able to take it away. Will Stabbert causing the turnover.
Nice double team there by the Drexel defense. Clamping down on Joey Fricaro there. Fricaro, I think his feet went out. He felt like he might have been tripped or got pushed a little bit, so he was probably frustrated, but looked like he might have been slow to get up. Not sure if someone ran over his feet or starting to cramp. Obviously fatigue becoming an issue with these teams having played just 36 hours ago.
And once again, Villanova with an offensive midfielder stuck on. Matt Campbell, the freshman, having to work against Luke Hurley from Drexel. Something that Drexel's been able to do pretty effectively throughout the second and third quarters. But Cam Harris threw that one away.
Nice defense. Villanova forcing him down that alley, challenging him to make a play, and that's the way what you want to do if you know you have a primarily defensive player. Now Cam Harris probably plays as much offense this game as he's played defense, but smart play there, forcing him down the alley and making that pass to X tough by staying in his gloves.
And kept alive by the Wildcats by midfield, avoiding the over and back.
Great play there by the defenseman, keeping that on that side of the field without stepping over.
So under 6 minutes to go in this third quarter. Game 3 of the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic. The first game of today coming up about 30 minutes after this one. We'll have St. Joe's and Penn also here from Vitus Field closing out the weekend event. Villanova looking to avoid going 0-2 while Drexel coming off the win over St. Joe's on Friday at Villanova. Looking to get to 2-0 on the weekend. Dragons have lost 5 straight to the Wildcats. Their last win coming back in 2013. Wrapping around, Gallahue stopped. And Blumenthal, the freshman, is really settled in. He's now got a career best 7 saves today.
Gabrielson was wide open on the step down. That you gotta hit him there. Got guys dodging one-on-one. As soon as you draw that double, it's important that you know where your outlets are. They're behind you and they're in front of you, and he didn't have his head up there. Tried to go for himself, which I can appreciate, but he had a wide open team. You got to be able to trust that you can move the ball forward, and someone will be there either to move the ball again or to have a shot.
By the way, that last time Drexel won in 2013, paced by none other than now NLL star Ben McIntosh with 3 goals and 2 assists.
Phenomenal player. Drexel, so many Canadians that have made such a big impact in the NLL as they've continued on their career. That pocket, these coaches talked a lot about pockets of recruiting, having these pipelines, that West Coast Canadian pipeline we're seeing with Marshall King and Reed Bowering. So having those guys you can go to that you know you're going to get great players that maybe other people don't know about, or you know they have buddies that are going back and saying what a great experience they're having, that's crucial in the recruiting game.
Loose ball. Blumenthal can't keep it alive for Drexel, and Villanova will get it back. Real quick, go! And it finds the side of the cage.
Villanova has looked...
caused turnover. Good chance. McManus couldn't get the pass off, though. He had Fracaro wide open there on the doorstep. No, excuse me, I think it was Kahn. Instead, it's Campbell looking to operate. Back out top to Kirst, but Blumenthal again.
That's a big save. I said Kirst might be the next guy to crack this one open. That's a shot you want. Him dead center as hard as he can. Great job by Blumenthal to get on that. And of note, Cam Harris has been on offense the past 2 times with Drexel, and they've turned the ball over the past 2 times. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see Cam Harris start working his way back onto the defensive half of the field.
And we've got a flag down. There was a scrum with it. Looked like Reed Bowering got involved as well. But a physical play. I think Reed Bowering grabbed Zachary Kreis's stick. Like, if I can't get the ground ball, you can't either.
And they always get the retaliation. They'll tell you that from the time you're a little kid. They never get the first one. It's always a retaliation.
And Kreisa, the guy whose stick was taken away from him, gets the 1-minute penalty. And so Drexel, up by 4 here late in the 3rd quarter, will have a chance to add on.
Villanova penalty number 12, Zachary Kreisa, unnecessary roughness, 1 minute.
Looks like they got the first one this time.
Yeah,
they didn't get the retaliation. Proving me wrong. These refs are on top of their game.
Drexel 1 for 2 on the man up today. Entered the day at that percentage, 50%. Very efficient unit.
You're being over 50%. That's where you want to be. So being right there, you're on that cusp. You can feel pretty good that, hey, we get a man up, there's a decent shot, but you want to be in that above 50%. So you're like, hey, it's better than likely that we're going to score. Wow, what a finish!
Again in front, it's Soren, almost identical to his first goal. Drexel back up 5.
And Villanova defense was right there on him, had him surrounded. But the key thing here is you have to be ball side, because he's able to catch that, and he's got 2 Villanova defenders draped all over him. But ultimately, they're behind his stick. So he catches that, comes towards the ball, running away from the 2 slides. The slides double down on him. He's able to protect that stick, turn, and fire. And nice placement just inside that bottom left pipe.
The senior from Denver, Colorado, has proven to be a terrific finisher in front so far today. Now 5 goals on the season for Matt Soren. Had a couple of goals as well against St. Joe's on Friday. And another face-off win for Jimmy Coita. Drexel has found a way, kind of almost out of nowhere, to make some tweaks at the face-off X, and now they have been dominant.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Coita has definitely found his rhythm. He's done a great job, and he's winning it right to himself. And then when the scraps are coming, they've been doing a nice job on the wings of being able to get that ball up and back to their offense. So Villanova needs to find that mojo that they had going early, and I think it was a little bit of a swagger. They had that swagger. They felt good. They were dodging hard, and now they're starting to get a little disjointed. They've run some different players at the midfield, the last midfield with Gallahue and Jack Kinnear. Look to them to go back to that first midfield so they can get something going.
Nice play there by Chris Donovan, the short stick opposite Camizio to force a turnover. And here's Connor Kirst. He has been quiet since scoring 5 goals in that first half. 5 of the first 6 goals for the Wildcats. And Drexel has found a way to keep him quiet since.
The teams will usually game plan after your 4th or 5th goal. They'll start drawing, so they'll send 5, 6 guys sliding to you after you score 5 goals.
We're not going to let that guy beat us. Overbay coming out of the box, kicks it back out top to Kirst.
Well, and that's where you have to have the complementary threat. So if you do start drawing that double, being able to move it and having teammates that can finish once you do that.
Overbay! He's been a nice compliment to Kirst. He's got his 2nd, and it's back to a 4-goal game.
So last goal, Overbay, alley to his left hand. This goal, Overbay, alley to his right hand. Midfielders, you have to be able to dodge with both hands. Here's a prime example of that, right? Run down the alley, find the seam, get your hands free. He did it to the left side with a nice overhand shot. He does it to the right side with a little 3/4 arm overhand. And again, that's one that Ross Blumenthal, I think he's got to feel like he has it. I thought he was right on it, and it must have slipped in just next to his ear. But pretty good defense, great take there by Overbay, and good work using both sides of the field.
Let's see if they can string another face-off win here together to see if they can cut into this lead a little bit more with 23 seconds left in this 3rd quarter. And it's Camizio who just took the face-off and won it against Koita. Add that to the list of things TJ Camizio can do.
I love the way this kid plays, and we've said his name so many times. Let him run first midfield. He's willing to do what it takes.
Kirst, hands free. Oh, he's going to want that one back with 3 seconds left.
Yeah, you could see he had a little bit of an awkward grip as he switched over to his left hand.
And Campbell couldn't get the shot off. But the Wildcats, a tiny bit of momentum to end the 3rd quarter. They get it back to a 4-goal game, but all Drexel get ready to start the 4th quarter. And something to note, Villanova's got 2 primary faceoff guys, Zach Ornstein and Dan Fisher. It's the short stick, TJ Camizio, instead battling Jimmy Koita. He won the first faceoff he took here at the end of the 3rd quarter, and he's back out to start the 4th.
Yeah, I wonder, something must have happened to Zach Ornstein in the last game, because he hasn't played at all today, and I'm surprised because he is typically their 2nd option. So I'm wondering if he got banged up in that game on Friday night, or if there's something that happened over the weekend. But I haven't seen him out here, and I'm surprised by that. But Camizio has definitely been serviceable at the X.
Yeah, Ornstein did take 1 face-off that he lost so far this afternoon. But otherwise, it's been all Dan Fisher, and now Camizio getting a run. The face-off win goes to the Dragons to start this 4th quarter, and Mailman back at it.
Nice job crowding Mailman so he doesn't have that head of steam that we talked about making him so successful.
It's now Fox making a run. He's matched up against Camizio, gets him to fall down. Nick Fox has got a goal.
Fox family got to be excited. Both sons on the board today.
Got Nick adding to Nolan's long pole goal from earlier.
And you can see Camizio's putting his hands up. He's saying, how is that not a ward? You see that free hand of Fox. You know, it's out now. Does he use it to push off? I don't know. It's out. Is it extending? That's debatable. But ultimately, I think Camizio had slipped in. I don't know if he was going to get back in position either way. But that is a challenging one. He's looking like he's putting his hand back on his stick. But smart play by Fox. Way to keep his feet moving.
The old little chicken wing you see on a basketball court. Get just enough space to get the hands free. Once again, Camizio at the X for the Wildcats, and Koita able to win it cleanly to himself. What a turnaround from Jimmy Koita. And credit Coach Brian Volker to staying with Koita after his struggles early on.
Yeah, he talked about what a great kid Jimmy is and how much trust he has in him on that phone call, and you can see that level of trust by saying, you know what, you might not have played your best, but I believe you can.
Kirst is looking for his 6, but it's kicked away by Blumenthal.
Big save by Blumenthal. He needed that one, and Kirst, not a great angle shot. Figured he could overpower him, and great job by Blumenthal hanging tough in there and making that save.
And Drexel wins a ground ball. Another empty offensive possession for the Wildcats. Scored 5 goals in that first quarter, Villanova, as Reed Bowering gets to the crease. Whoa, that's going to be a flag as he took out Nick Testa. And it wasn't on purpose, it doesn't look like. Bowering tangled up with a defender.
I think Bowering's definitely going to get a penalty here, but I think you're also going to see a hold or an unnecessary roughness on someone. So Reed Bowering, clearly, it's his responsibility to avoid the goalie. He did not do that. The defenseman didn't push him directly into the goalie. So that's going to be a penalty for sure. The second penalty, I'm curious, I think is going to go against Drexel, but I don't know what they're going to call. I'm sorry, it's going to go against Villanova, but I'm not sure. Oh, no, looks like they're calling both against Reed Bowering. Oh, no, they did call Villanova with a 30-second push there.
So there's a 30-second push on Owen Probilski from Villanova, and then a 2-minute unreleasable penalty on Reed Bowering. And remember, that's part of the new crease dive rules that have been implemented in the college game this year. And it is up to the referee's discretion when a player dives in on A, whether it's an illegal dive or not, if they're diving toward the goal mouth, but B, they have the discretion to go from 1 to 3 minutes on that penalty, depending on how egregious they feel like the act is.
And you could see the referee explaining to Coach Volker that his angle of direction was directly at the goalie. So no matter what happened there, he was going to run into the goalie. And so that's why I think they went with the 2-minute as opposed. Now, he wasn't trying to injure him. He didn't dive directly at him. So I think that's why they didn't go with the 3-minute. But then he was also pushed towards the end of the play by Probilski. So I think they made the right call in this situation. And ultimately, I think that was the way to do it. Now, because of the 2-minute being non-releasable, I believe that's why Villanova is getting the ball here at the end.
Yeah, so it'll be 30 seconds to start where we have 5-on-5 lacrosse. Villanova likely going to wait out that first 30 seconds and then have the man up, 6-on-5 for the next minute and a half. That will be unreleasable. Actually, they're just going to go.
And yeah, I think they were, I do not like that
Saved
look.
by Blumenthal.
Corey McManus, he's made his name finishing inside this weekend, and that's one where, wait for the best look possible. That's not the best look possible, and now you're giving it right back to Drexel. Now, they're still going to have to kill a penalty and be man short, so you have the chance to be a little bit more aggressive and send another Wildcat out on defense to double the ball. But yeah, I would have if they're going to go, you want to get a great look, otherwise pull it out, and that wasn't the great look they're hoping for.
So already almost 30 seconds of the 1.5-minute unreleasable penalty left after the Probilski penalty has been released. The Wildcats got to try to get the ball back. What a move by Hurley. The short stick D-Mitty just playing keep away.
And sometimes this, when you have to double and you do double, this can be a more dangerous situation. You over pursue and you open something up in the middle, or you draw a flag and you lose that advantage. And here you go. They just came over the head. I'm surprised.
And
yep, there it is.
Yeah, there's
the trail referee. The trail referee wasn't going to throw it, but the one who was seeing it. That's what happens so frequently, is because you have nothing to lose as the team that's trying to kill the penalty. You just run through checks. You do a great job protecting your stick, and there's a good chance they're either going to draw a flag or you're going to find yourself in front of the net with nobody on you.
And so it goes up against Patrick Kennedy, the redshirt sophomore from New Jersey for Villanova. And so we'll have a 5-on-5 once again for 30 seconds. Drexel only will have now about 5 seconds of an extra man themselves.
And so interesting question there with a 2-minute non-releasable penalty. They kind of got rid of it quickly. I don't know how much time would have been left if they just ran out the shot clock there. So instead of doubling, do you just sit back and say, okay, fine, kill 60, 70 seconds of this, but then we're still going to have 20, 30-second man up. So
you're right.
It's a debate. Probably not. Maybe a 3-minute you do that. 2-minute, you're probably going to want to be more aggressive, but still, you run that risk of doing exactly what they did, which is taking a penalty. Ooh, nice over the head check.
Mailman has it taken away by Ubriaco. And so 5-on-5 for Villanova now.
It's a great name to say, Ubriaco, huh?
Just rolls right off the tongue. Across! Just as we got even strength, Chris Donovan cashes in on the backside. The short stick D-Mini with the first goal of the season.
What a finish. That was a quick stick, kind of alley-oop on the back door. Nice look there by Comizio, finding him all the way on the backside. And great job handling that low pass, staying out of the crease, and finishing before the goalie can get back across.
The short stick D-Middies connecting for that one. Give the assist to TJ Comizio. Chris Donovan, the transfer from Georgetown, with his first goal of the season, and actually his first goal as a Wildcat. Did have 9 goals with the Hoyas back in 2017, last year just with an assist for Villanova. But Koita wins it again to himself. Nice save, an important one by Testa. That's Testa's first save since coming in this start the second half.
Yeah, and that's got to feel good for him, facing down Marshall King, who's such a dangerous shooter, to make that save and get a better offense. And now they've got their first midfield on.
Kirst!
And Kirst, he's looking for that 6th. He wants the sock trick.
He does.
Although I don't know how many socks are going to come flying on the field. Looks pretty cold and wet there. I think everyone needs extra pairs of socks.
I would keep the socks on if I was in the stands. Kahn back out to Overbay.
Overbay's had the hot hand latest for Villanova.
Back out to Kirst, and they're just feeding Connor Kirst.
Heat him back up, because when he was hot, he was unstoppable. And it was the 4th quarter in the Friday night game, 1st quarter here. Try to balance that out, get a couple more out of him, and he'll really be getting this offense clicking.
Ricardo took his eye off that pass. Still 26 seconds left on the shot clock for Villanova. Kahn feed to Campbell. He couldn't cash in, but it's a fresh 80 for the Wildcats.
Great cut there by Campbell. Just had a little bit more time inside. He caught it and probably could have let that go. Oh, nice look inside.
Oh, Kirst had his man.
Patrick Daly just couldn't handle that thing inside.
That was a great look.
And that's what I talked about, is once, if you're shooting and drawing that slide, once you start drawing that slide, if you can have your head up and find the open teammates, that's such a valuable secondary asset. And right there, he did such a good job of it. You got to count on your teammates to be able to catch those, especially when you're wide open in front. And Patrick Daly hasn't been in there the whole time. He replaced Corey McManus, so he's coming in a little cold. Maybe he hasn't touched the ball yet this game, at least off of a pass. So can understand how that first one might be a little tricky.
So Drexel now under 10 minutes to go in this game, up by 4 on the number 11th ranked team in the country. And Colin Mailman looking for his 4th goal of the game, but he's stripped away. Just at the last second, Chris Donovan pokes it out, but a flag on the Wildcats, and Villanova can't believe it.
Yeah, Donovan with the diving trail check there. Nice dodge
Might
by
have saved
Mailman.
a goal. Just enough.
Excellent play, and Comizio comes through at the end and gives him a shot. That's tough. He thinks he might have still had the ball. It's kind of like that hard foul in basketball, right? If they're going up, they're dead center of the goal. Maybe you push them. It's like, hey, I'm going to get the penalty. I know it, but they're not going to score. Unfortunately, he didn't realize the ball had popped out. So, so if he had just held off there, he would have been just fine.
It's like football as well. Like the quarterback just gets rid of it, and if you're a linebacker bearing down, you can't stop.
Gotta avoid the contact.
So a 30-second man up on the push for the Dragons. Also keeps Comizio off here.
Another chance for Testa to get another save and get that confidence and start getting that defense together, especially with a 30-second. Probably only going to see 1 shot in this possession.
And that's an errant pass taken away by Colin Hunt. Testa's got to show off the moves and gets rid of it.
I think Marshall King wanted to throw that, and at the last minute decided not to. He couldn't pull it back.
So Villanova kills the man up, back to even strength. And Patrick Daly and his offense will go back to work. He can score in a hurry. They showed us on Friday night when they strung 4 goals together late to make that game against Penn a lot more interesting down the stretch. That shot rang off of somebody's helmet from Campbell.
Still going up.
They be headed toward the cars in the parking lot.
Matt Campbell's got 1 goal, but after 2 games sitting at 1 goal, you know, he had 12 the 2 games prior. That's someone who, down this stretch, they're going to need to score a couple goals here. They're going to need to be a contributor if they want to get back in this thing.
And Ficaro's pass is intercepted by Drexel. A couple of guys for Villanova that they could use to step up there offensively. So we got a numbers situation. Nolan Fox, the nifty finish.
Great finish there. Tucks it underneath and then rolls it back, almost like a backhand, into the bottom right corner. Fox family, big party here in Philadelphia for the Fox family.
The second goal of the afternoon for the long pole, Nolan Fox.
Nice play. If he had brought that stick anywhere else, he was getting checked because the Villanova defense did a nice job of collapsing down. You can see Owen Probilski hustling to try to make that play and puts it where only he can handle it. Matt Varian kind of stalling for time, getting the ball to him, and then nice finish there by Fox.
So Nolan Fox and Nick Fox, the LSM Nolan and the short stick offensive midfielder Nick, now combining for 3 goals for the Dragons.
And Jimmy Coit has been automatic at the X. That's such a big difference maker. Make it, take it. Lacrosse is so hard to beat.
And after Drexel couldn't buy a face-off in the first quarter especially, Coita has been able to make some adjustments, and now Villanova can't seem to get one. Drexel with a 5-goal lead, now 14-9. Under 7 minutes to go. A chance to take a full 80 seconds and get a good shot.
A good opportunity here for Drexel to really use the clock, right? You don't want to rush anything. If it's there, take it, but use 60, 70 seconds of that clock and then end with a good shot.
Varian gets it away to King. Mailman, he's got 3 today.
Villanova's going to have to start taking some chances defensively here with that. If they just keep stalling, they're going to be in trouble because they get 5-goal cushion to try to make up.
Bowering gets the short stick, Camizio. Sends it back out top to Fox. I think Testa got a piece of that.
Testa had no idea where that was going. I don't know if it got deflected or he just couldn't see through the pile, but he went one direction, the ball went the other. So lucky that was not on cage there, but helpful for Villanova here.
Yeah, Wildcats entering the weekend, 11th ranked team in the country, had won 3 in a row. They lose to Penn on Friday night as the Quakers, after Villanova had gotten within 1 in the second half, the Quakers responded by scoring 6 of 7. So now down by 5, nearing 5 minutes to go, facing an 0-2 weekend as part of this Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic. Kirst trying to get anything going after the 5 goals in the first half, and it's pushed away by Blumenthal. The rebound is put home.
Nice job there by Patrick Daly. Last time, ball was thrown his way, couldn't corral it this time. It's thrown at the goalie. He says, I'm not missing it again. Picks up the rebound and buries it. Great work being Johnny on the spot there.
4th goal of the season for Patrick Daly, and Blumenthal stopped Kurz, but can't stop the one right on the doorstep. And Villanova desperately needed that answer.
Yeah, and Connor Kurz, you know, I think Blumenthal has figured him out. He's been able to make those 3 or 4 big saves on him. So he's feeling good. And then great job by Patrick Daly and tracking that rebound. And you saw it. He wasn't getting there. There was 2 bodies and a goalie there, but he did a nice job of reaching his stick in and just placing that ball where it needed to be. We saw that early in the game from, I believe it was believe it was Jack Mulcahy's dodge, where he
Yeah.
just used that placement. It's not always about power in lacrosse. Sometimes if you can find the right spot and tuck it in there, you can just gently place it where you want it to go.
And Jimmy Coita again wins the faceoff. Villanova staying with TJ Camizio, the defensive midfielder, to take faceoffs. Their traditional two guys, Zach Ornstein and Dan Fisher, left on the bench by Coach Mike Corrado.
Yeah, do you look at bumping a pole up this late in the
Right,
game? You
yeah.
need the ball back, right? So I like Camizio there to scrap, but maybe you put 2 poles in the wings and really make it a battle there. And so Jimmy Coita has to run out of a double team with a pole, or a double team and Camizio on a pole.
Bowering trying to set it over to Genord. He lost it for a second, but kept alive. Still 30 seconds left on the shot clock.
And now we're getting right to that territory where, the shot clocks are going to start really mattering here, because if they can get 1 reset or 2 resets, then they could just keep stalling. But if they don't, then Villanova's going to keep getting the ball back.
Varian sends it wide. Did not get a piece of the goal or the goalie, so still just 9 seconds on this shot clock.
I expect the Drexel midfield is way up at the midline right now, or starting to even head out. Look for a little one-on-one from X, just kind of all or nothing, or with everyone else dropping back.
Varian sends in front. Nobody home, and so the shot clock violation gives it back to Villanova.
Marshall King trying to get a little post up there.
Yeah. The one Canadian not on this attack unit. Unforced
that's a
error by
killer.
the Wildcats. And nice play by Stabbert to get it to his own guy.
You miss that pass, you got to at least hope that someone from X or one of the other attackmen comes flying over. And I don't know if Corey McManus was working his way the other direction, but he kind of came towards that a little too casually. So not sure what happened there, but that's got to be frustrating. Oh, and Popilski just with the lead block there.
A turnover right back gives it to Chris Donovan. Unsettled situation, Ubriaco stopped. Blumenthal now up to 12 saves on the afternoon, his first ever double-digit save performance, but a turnover gives it back to Ubriaco. Unsettled. Bounce shot does not go, and Blumenthal won the backup.
That's a tough call. Corey McManus is upset, and I understand that. I thought he was in the right spot. And they're going to correct that call. He was certainly the closest to that ball when it went out.
I believe it's just a timeout. Let's take another look at this thing. Ubriaco shot it and
You know what?
lost his mouthpiece as
went,
well.
went for the old mouth guard home run derby.
Under 3 minutes to go at Vitus Field. Travis Eldridge, Mitch Belisle back with you here in our CAA Game of the Week. The first game of the doubleheader here in the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic. The second day here in West Philadelphia. And Drexel, after winning a backup race for it by Ross Blumenthal, the freshman goalie, getting his second career start, made his first career start against St. Joe's on Friday. He's got double-digit saves today, and Villanova needs to force a turnover here. Instead, Varian wins it, but taken away by Donovan. And Nick Testa, who came in the second half, corrals it in his crease.
And Travis, Ross Blumenthal, almost identical situation that he had on Friday night, right? He came out, couldn't save the first couple shots, but then settled in. Tonight, came out, Villanova went up big. Connor Kurse had his number, was scoring at will, and since then, he's settled down. He's made some huge saves. He's diving at balls off the end line, so great poise that he showed, and that's really defined this Drexel team, is that poise.
Shot
right?
sails high there from Gallahue, and yeah.
Coita as well,
right.
It came out struggled, but they've come back. So something that Coach Volker has got to be thrilled with is their ability to face that adversity and come back. And you talked about that with the Michigan game, being able to take that and then not just roll over and fight back.
And we have a timeout in the field, and I think you're right, and you credit Brian Volker in sticking with his freshman goalie in both games, because against St. Joe's, this Drexel team was down at the half, able to come back and win on Friday night. And same thing here, down 6-1 at one point in this game, and able to battle back, and excuse me, 6-3, able to battle back and find ways to win. Here's a look at what Drexel has coming up. You go to Georgetown, another difficult non-conference game coming your way next weekend, next Saturday. You go to Providence, and then we're into CAA play, and you kick things off with the defending CAA champs in UMass, who seems to have turned the corner a little bit in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and these are all tough games, but I think these are all games that they can be. They're in every single one of these. None of these you're like, oh my gosh, they're in trouble, right?
Yeah.
This team has such a solid offense, and like I said, their ability to bounce back has been what's impressed me so much. And if they can continue getting consistency from Ross Blumenthal, and maybe you just start him in the second quarter. Maybe that's the way to go for him.
Start somebody else for the first 15 minutes, and then we'll bring him in.
Don't start him, but or it's like, all right, just let him stand to the side, let him score 2 or 3 goals, and then step in there, and you're going to start making saves. But he's been great. So credit to Ross Blumenthal of doing a much better job as he kind of finds his comfort zone, and now he's going to have to stand up tall as Villanova is going to mount a big comeback, just like they had to the other night.
Yeah, remember, the last 3 minutes is when Villanova made that thing interesting against Penn. The Kirst has it stripped away. Caused turnover for Jack Farrell. Kicks it forward to Bowering, and the Canadian gets it out to Marshall King.
And the Drexel bench is letting him hear about it. Nice work there by Drexel. Good double team. And Connor Kirst, he keeps running into those double teams, and that's I think they're just too flat right now. At the beginning of the game, they were so spread out, and part of that is got to be fatigue. Everyone's not sprinting in and out to create that space for their teammates, so he needs his teammates to give him more space to get that downhill dodge and get his hands free.
And now it's desperation time for Villanova as they look to double the ball. The goal is empty. They will get the ball back, but I mean, not enough time to score 4 goals unless they cause a turnover like this. Camizio ahead to Kahn. Under a minute to go. Shovel pass in front is taken away. Colin Mailman. One of the faster guys on this Drexel team, showing off the speed. How about one more? The Mailman delivers. A career best 4 goals for Colin.
You can't teach speed, and he turned on the afterburners, and no one was getting close to him. So great job getting it up and out. He sees, he looks around, evaluates, says, no one's catching me, goes right to the hopper, and then buries it. That's a great insurance policy.
Who says the mail isn't delivered on Sunday?
How many of those mailman puns have you got teed up here? That's 2 in 1. That's 2 on 1 goal. He needs to score more so he can get them all out.
Colin Mailman's first career 4-goal game after this was his 3rd hat trick of the season, and the midfielder continues to be an important part of the success for Drexel. And how about the Dragons? You had a game last weekend against Jacksonville, had a bunch of travel issues. They came out flat, and we talked to Brian Volker this week. They lose 19-12 to the Dolphins on the road in a tough spot to play. The game was moved up to the morning because of weather in the area. Not a good situation for Drexel, who at that point had lost a couple in a row. And then to come into this weekend, bounce back after a tough first half against St. Joe's, and then battle back here against Villanova, they're going to walk away with a 2-0 weekend.
Yeah, he's got to be psyched here. And not just that, but the confidence of, okay, we know who our starting goalie is. Okay, our defense, when we buckle down, we can do great things. So this is a weekend that Coach Volker has got to be thrilled with and something to build on as they head in the meat of their season.
2 starts for Ross Blumenthal in goal. The freshman's got a pair of wins as Drexel, the Dragons, upset Villanova 15-10, and they walk away from the Philly 4 Lacrosse Classic at 2-0. And we said it throughout this game. The Dragons giving Blumenthal extra shots. Koida figures it out at the X. The defense figures it out, and they walk away with an impressive win over the number 11 team in the country.
Yeah, extremely balanced across the board, like you said. The face-off X, area of concern early, wipe that out. Goaltending, area of concern early, wipe that out, became dominant towards the end. And then what they said is, we know where we're going to get our points from the attack, and they did. They delivered, each of them with a goal. And then the midfield, everyone's stepping up with a couple from the back line, with Cam Harris contributing 1, Nolan Fox contributing 2, pushing the ball in transition. So all around great team win, and good ability to take those weaknesses early and turn those into strengths late.
So once again, your final score, Drexel 15, Villanova 10. Thanks for watching the CAA Game of the Week on Lax Sports Network.